So let's check this pile and see if it's ready to compost.
Wow.
Hi, Sienna.
Hi. Hey, kids. Wow. Good to see you out here today. Matt, these are my friends, Charlotte, Robbie, and Lilian.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
It's good to have you in the garden.
And this is Matt. He's a master gardener.
So, what's the big deal with compost bins?
Well, we do composting in this part of the garden, and the reason we like to compost is it keeps stuff from going to the landfill. So when it goes to the dump, you get big piles of garbage, and it generates some gases like methane that are really bad for our environment. So this helps, and it recycles it back into the garden and helps make the garden grow better.
Wow, I never thought about my food waste like that. See, isn't it cool? Yeah!
So let me show you how we do this, how we compost, and how we start this process. So the way we compost is we take everything that comes out of the garden, out of the vegetable gardens, out of the flower gardens, all the weeds that get pulled, the lawn gets mowed. Everything goes into one of these, what are called intake bins. So we have plants and weeds, the green stuff. We have small woody material and large woody material. We want to break it down into smaller pieces so it's more digestible for the bacteria and the worms and all of the bugs that compost things. So we may chop and do something like that. We may use clippers, pruners, to break it into smaller pieces about 2 to 3 inches long. Or if it's a branch, we use something called a chipper. So this is a gas-powered machine that grinds things up. So you put a branch in it and it eats it, grinds it up, and it spits it out. And we take all of that stuff, whether we've chopped it up over here or cut it up or ground it up, and we put it in a compost bin. We all need the same kinds of things to grow. So we need food and air and water, right? So we want to check how much moisture is in here, and that's what this little thing does. It tells us whether it's too dry or too wet. So we water it if it's too dry and add more food to it if it's too wet, and we take its temperature. The temperature tells us that the bacteria in particular are eating everything in this bin. It'll generate a lot of heat. Right now, the temperature in this bin is 120 degrees, and I think it's only, 65 degrees out here outside today. We turn it once a week when we come to work in the garden. That adds more air to the pile, and then we check the moisture, and we take its temperature and just see how it's doing. It takes about 2 to 3 months for us to digest everything that's in one of these bins. So at this spot, these are all examples of how you can compost at home. And a lot of homeowners own something like this. They're usually plastic. They're usually dark colored because when the sun hits them, it'll add some heat to help break down what's inside. And in this one, you put in all of your garden scraps and things like that, and you close the lid. And these are called tumblers. So then we will rotate it once a week, and we'll check the water, the moisture in it and the temperature, and just check it and make sure that it's all breaking down. And so it can be pretty simple to do, like you can use the garbage can down there with just putting some holes in the bottom of it so it gets some air from the bottom going up through the pile to help it digest. So the last thing we do after the compost has spent 2 or 3 months in this bin is we're gonna sift this and collect the finished compost. And anything that's too big to go through the screen, we put back in the bin and we run it through another cycle for another 2 or 3 months. So we put some on the screen, we rub it, and the stuff that gets through the screen is finished compost. So you can see some worms in there.
Oh, yeah.
And this is all finished compost. And it'll smell a little bit like dirt.
Yeah, I can barely smell anything.
Yeah. So that compost is ready. So then we put it in a finished pile over there, and it sits for another 2 or 3 months, and then we can use it in the garden. We can put it on top of things, or we can dig it into the soil, and it will help hold water in the soil, and it will help nourish the plants. So let's go take a look at what you do with the things in your kitchen, like the salad that you didn't finish for dinner last night. Instead of throwing it in the garbage and sending it off to the landfill, we can have the worms compost that for us. So let's go take a look at that.
I think I'll just stay here and finish this up.
Okay.
All right. You guys have a good time.
Okay, bye,
We'll do that.
See you in a bit.